All right, you ready to do this?
I think we're ready. What do you think? I don't know. I'm going to try. If not, I could be saying flamingo a lot.
Yeah, let's see if we can get the third show off properly here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens.
Start. Oh, yeah. Get those feet bouncing.
Welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Kick Eye Sports. I'm Lance. He's Gilby.
Peace, everybody.
What's going on today, man?
It's going great today, man. Week 14.
14? That means there's only 2 more weeks in the season.
No. Remember, 14, 15, 16, 17. 4 weeks left. We are three quarters of the way there. And what a great week we had this week. We had 4 football games.
Yes, we did.
We had 4 football games.
2 on Monday night was kind of unusual, but the Tuesday night kind of threw me off.
Tuesday was great, and then I had to take a day off, and all of a sudden we had a Thursday night game, like normal. Like it finally went off on time for the first time in 3 weeks. So just a great week of football. I mean, hey, you give me NFL football every night of the week, I'm a happy kind of guy. Yeah,
of course, man. And 4 games throughout the week. I was excited about that.
There's nothing you can do about it. It's playoff time. Everybody's got 12 games under their belt now, so the last four games for everybody, and it's time to rock and roll.
It is time.
And it started last night. The Rams totally took care of business last night against the Patriots.
Everyone was saying the surging Patriots. The Patriots are coming back. They're going to have double-digit wins again this year. Wrong answer, Bob.
Well, that's one thing with the Patriots, so you have to put them away. Because guess what? They're still in the hunt. They came in this 6-6, and the Rams were 8-4. Against the spread, the Patriots were 6-6, and the Rams were 7-4. The game went off at 4.5. Started at 6.5. So there were a lot of there was a lot of money that came in on the Patriots. People were always remember. People remember the last thing they saw. So what was the last thing they saw the Patriots do?
Lose.
Kick the crap out of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, that other blue and gold team.
Yeah, that other blue, 45-0. So there was a lot of money that came in on the Patriots and
the surging Patriots.
The surging Patriots.
Everyone looks good against the Chargers, though. Come on.
Well, this year, yes, but the Chargers, I think it was an anomaly last week that they lost 45-0. Although Belichick, the rookie quarterback again. I think. If you look at his record against rookie quarterbacks, he's like 10-2 or something like that, and just throttles them because he disguises so well on defenses that he just can't. That the new quarterbacks just come into the league just cannot figure it out.
The game's too fast for him.
It is, But hey, this is the first time that the Patriots that they played a top 5 defense in about 4 or 5 weeks, and this is what they did. 10 first downs, 200 total yards, 3 for 16 on 3rd and 4th down conversions. And, Cam Newton, he had such a horrible day yesterday. 9 for 16, QBR rating of 53. I mean, I don't know if he didn't come in prepared, but I don't think he was. But as you're going to hear right here, I think he thought he was ready.
It was off.
We knew exactly what they were going to do. We just got to be better, and it starts with me personally. Just have to make more plays, and that's what it comes down to. Just doing what I'm asked. I just have to still go into each and every week with the mentality to keep getting better, and that's what I plan on doing. We just have to be better collectively, and he was right. And I think, we didn't play a good style or brand of football tonight, and they did, and they made more plays than us, so it led to them winning.
You know how you can tell when somebody's lost the respect of the locker room?
How's that?
They're moving furniture while you're doing your press conference.
Right. He's not that important.
Just go ahead and move that. Don't worry about it.
I mean, he's got 4 touchdowns so far this year, and he rushed for 7. He rushed 7 times yesterday for 16 yards. I mean, the offense that they have tried to instill for him to be there it had some success early in the season, and they won a lot of games they shouldn't have. They lost a couple games that they should have won. I mean, their record realistically going into yesterday could have been 8-4.
Easily
8-4. But they just dropped the ball yesterday. But it was kind of a payback game for the Rams. I mean, the Rams lost to them in Super Bowl 53, you know.
And a Super Bowl loss really hurts.
Yeah, and that's something that still stings, you know, obviously for McVay and for Goff, because it was one of their worst performances. I mean, even during the telecast last night, they were saying how, you know, after that game, McVay said, you know, I got it handed to me. You know, so obviously he had to look at himself. And, you know, this year's team, you know, a couple years later, you know, the defense seems to be a little bit better. The offense spreads out a little bit better. They've got a three-headed attack on, you know, at running back. And as long as Goff has had a problem this year, I mean, he's top 3 quarterbacks in turning the ball over this season so far. You know, he came in there last night, but they ran the ball. I mean, who was the kid? Cam Akers ran for 171 yards on 29 carries last night.
The rookie.
And you knew it as soon as they took the field, they were going to run that ball down the Patriots' throat. And that's not, I mean, and if you look at the data, I mean, the Patriots came in as a 7th-ranked defense overall. Their rush yards was a little bit weak. They're 27th in the league, so obviously that's where McVay saw that, hey, that's their weakness this year. So, but it hadn't been exploited basically the whole season. So they came out there, they had a game plan, they ran that ball. I mean, they were taking chunks in that first 2 drives, 10, 15, 18 yards, and then all of a sudden they threw a little button pass on the outside. All of a sudden that's 22 yards. I mean, they scored in 3.5 minutes, you know, and you knew right from the beginning there that it was might be a long day for the Patriots.
Might be.
It might be, but that's only the first quarter because you never want to count out Belichick, you know. So, but you know, you gotta love Belichick. He's had a fantastic season. He's not going to say that he has
for what he has to work with.
For what he has to work with. I mean, this could be
definitely a rebuilding season there in New England.
This is going to be the first time since 2002 that they will not have 10+ wins. If they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be
2002.
2002. I mean, that's 18 years.
We were still making jokes about Y2K.
Yes.
Back in 2002.
I mean, 10+ wins for that many years straight. I mean, I'm glad I got to see it in my lifetime because me being a Green Bay Packers fan my whole life, I mean, I never thought I'd see anything like that. And, you know, we all don't like the dynasties. I mean, no. I wasn't a fan of the Steelers back in the day. I wasn't a fan of the 49ers when they were going. Right. The Iron Curtain, you know, and then, you know, you had your Cowboys winning 3 out of 5 years, you know, in the 90s, and then the last 2 decades,
but
it's been the Patriots.
Whoa. You're going a little fast here. Let's not forget the Buffalo Bills. That's a dynasty when you make it to the Super Bowl that many times. 4 times straight.
Yeah. And bless their hearts, and they were only in one of them, the one that the wide right with Norwood, you know, against the Giants. The other 3, they really got their doors blown off.
Yeah.
You know.
And it wasn't even close. And it's like, you know, you figure by the 4th Super Bowl, okay, we're going to win this one. Odds are.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope. But on Monday, you know, you're bringing up the Bills. They have hope. I mean,
they look good this year. I love their defense.
This kid, Josh Allen, had one of the best performances of the year, I think, as a quarterback. 32 for 40, 375, and 4 TDs, no interceptions. Ran the ball when he needed to run the ball. He was pinpoint accurate, and that was against a San Francisco defense that, you know, coming into that game, they were pretty solid. You know, they've had injuries, you know, but nobody's been able to do what they did to them. You know, this is the first win, and also was the first win for the Buffalo Bills since 1999 on Monday Night Football.
Really? That long ago?
That's how long, because you're going back to the 4 years that they went to the Super Bowl, you know, in a row, and they've been searching for their next Jim Kelly for 20 years. They have. I mean, and thank God this kid has finally showed up. It's his 3rd year. First 2 years of knock on, big arm, not accurate. This offseason, he went down and talked to a quarterback guru, Carson Palmer's brother, who used to be the quarterback, obviously, for the Bengals and then for the Arizona Cardinals. His brother has a quarterback school down in Southern California that this is what they worked on his accuracy this year. And you can tell in his 3rd year, he's finally getting it. He's finally pinpointing, you know, not letting the pressure get to him, pinpointing his passes, and actually being a little more accurate. Sure, he's had some bad games. I mean, we saw him against the Raiders. It wasn't one of his best games. No. But you're going to get to any quarterback that gets pressure always gets a little bit razzled. There's no way around it. But he's the first QB with 4 TD passes and 80% completion rate for a game for the Buffalo Bills.
I'd like to do one of those quarterback schools just for the fun of it. I mean, I stand 6'1", and I'm up there 275-ish, and I would just like it for the knowledge aspect of it, just because I'm sure it's just not all accuracy and all of that, but I'm sure it has a lot to do with how to read defenses. You're taking those 5 steps up to the line. You don't want them to see you looking at them, but you're looking at them.
Right.
And you're trying to decipher exactly what they're going to do. Well, so defenses that actually can impose their will and hide these things right before the snap, that's a team that's going to get that extra 1 second advantage before the quarterback figures out exactly what they're going to be doing.
Well, and that's what Peyton Manning changed the game. I mean, he made it a cerebral game to where he's walking up. I heard this week, actually, and that he would walk up to the play with the line of scrimmage with 4 plays in his head. Sure. And then he would let the line of scrimmage know their blocking scheme. They would let the wide receivers know what routes, after he walked up to their – and Brady, he's so fantastic at that also. Aaron Rodgers now, there's so much like that to where when we grew up, it was like – just slap something out there, somebody go down and out right, at 5-yard pass.
Dive left. Dive right.
There just wasn't.
We didn't even call it jet sweep. We just went sweep.
Bottom line, if you didn't call the play that the coach sent in, what was he doing? He was pulling you out of the game.
Gone.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, oh my God, they're finally letting Elway call his own plays in the huddle. And Jim Kelly was the same thing. He was one of the first ones. Marino, hey, let him call the plays because they got the feel of it for what's on the field. That's when it kind of started. Yeah, I want to say, but Peyton Manning really took it over to the next level. So on Monday,
walking up to the line with 4 plays in your head.
Yeah.
Knowing what your 4 or 5 playmakers can do.
Yeah.
That's why I'd only attend to the college or the quarterback school. I would never want to be a quarterback.
And a lot of it is with the quarterback school is mechanics.
Yeah.
It's feet.
Fundamentals.
It's fundamentals. It's hips. It's arm position. But it's really about your hips down. For a quarterback, you really got to get your feet underneath you, and you can see it in Russell Wilson. You can see it in Aaron Rodgers now these days. Like even when they go out of the pocket, but you'll see them rotate open to make sure that they get their feet down so they can get the maximum torque when they throw that ball.
And then along comes a Holmes.
Yes.
And he's throwing from,
he throws it behind his back.
Level.
Well, I love the Brett Favre in him that I'm going to throw you the ball no matter where you're at, and I'm going to push it to you. I'm going to toss it to you. I'm going to underhand it to you.
And that's why they're 11-1.
Yeah, that's why they're 11-1. Yeah. Yes. So also on Monday night, we had the Steelers open up the day against the Washington Redskins. I'm so sorry.
Wow, that's twice now.
I know.
You just went back to 2017, man.
Oh my God. I think it was just 2019. I think they were still that. But Alex Smith wins his he's 3-1 as a starter now. Wins his 3rd one. Steelers' first loss. It was back and forth. Pretty ugly game. Steelers kept the Redskins in it. The Washington football team in it. And it was just great to finally get over the hump for the Washington team, because now they're tied with the Giants at 5-7 for first place in the NFC East. So, but the Giants have the tiebreaker because they've beaten them twice this season already. But Ron Rivera has some good things to say about his team after the victory.
The decisions I made today, they played their asses off. Then this really does rank up there, just because of the fact, who we beat them in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers. That's one of the storied franchises as well in this league. So to come in and win, that was big for our guys. I'm real proud of them. In spite of some of the decisions.
Real proud of them.
Personally, he's been through a cancer scare this year. He's had some therapies for that, and obviously the Washington team blew up over the summertime with everything that's going on in the nation at this time. So they've really had to deal with a lot, and they're on their third quarterback. They're down to Alex Smith. You know, he didn't have a leg basically, 2 years ago after the infection, after he broke it.
Oh, I did see that 30 on 30.
Did you see that 30 for 30?
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I don't understand how he could put weight on that little bit of fractured leg that he had.
I don't know how he can even run. I don't know how he can walk. I mean, and let alone play to the level that he's playing. I mean,
yeah, true that.
He hasn't been lighting the world on fire, but he's won him 3 games. That's something that Haskins couldn't do before him, So let's just, bless his heart, and I thank the Washington team for staying behind him and giving him the chance. Because even if this is his last year,
mm-hmm.
he got to come back. He got to play. He knew he still could do it. He knew he could still win games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but good for the Washington team. They have a chance to still be the division winner at 5-7, and it really puts the onus on the Giants this week at home against the Cardinals.
Absolutely. You know what I have here?
What do you got?
I've got Bill Belichick. And actually, if you've ever seen one of his press conferences, you know that he has probably, 10-second statements.
Yeah, probably.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's pushing it. But I actually came up with a statement that he made this week where he's actually speaking for 45 seconds.
Uh-oh.
You want to hear it?
I'm ready.
All right.
I didn't think you could do this.
Cam's our quarterback. 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 Cam's our quarterback.
30 more seconds.
Cam's our quarterback. Cam's our quarterback.
Oh, he finally let loose, did he?
Cam's our quarterback. Cam's our quarterback.
That is awesome. I'm just reiterating that, yes, Cam is our quarterback. Oh,
40 seconds he gave us.
I can't believe that is, he's loosening up, I guess it just takes a loss for him to, actually get some words out.
Well, he went from 30% chance of making the playoffs if he would have won that game.
Okay.
And by losing it, it took him down to about 6%.
6%, yeah.
It's just like, they're not going to get double-digit wins this year, that's for sure.
They are not
and
dead yet.
everyone else in the AFC East is doing well. So chances are they're going to probably fall to the wayside.
Well, it's the Bills to lose. The Dolphins are 8-4 as of today. So at 6-7, they're 2 games behind the Dolphins, which would get the wild card before them. So there's 4 games left. Anything can happen. I've seen teams lose 4 in a row very easily. And because December is real football time. I mean, you played around for 12 weeks, and hopefully you got a feeling for your team, and you're getting players back, and it's always just attrition. It depends on who is usually the healthiest coming into December.
Sure.
And then if you get healthier during December, kind of thing. So it should be an interesting, but until I don't see the New England Patriots moniker on the screen when the playoffs are being saying like
still in the hunt.
I will not be satisfied.
No,
I just won't be satisfied. So
I don't know. It's going to be more like pulling a rabbit out of his hat this year. I just don't think Belichick has the ammunition around him.
What do you think? Do you think Cam is the starting quarterback this next Sunday?
Cam is my quarterback. Cam is my quarterback. Cam is my quarterback. Cam is my quarterback.
Well, another team that just got back their quarterback was the Ravens on Tuesday night against the Cowboys. This was a Thursday night game the week before that got pushed back because of Thanksgiving game with the Steelers and the Ravens and everything. So the Ravens had 80% of their players back. Basically, it was really a playoff game for the Ravens because they came in at 6-5. They lose that game, go 6-6. They are way behind everybody in that AFC race for a wild card. Cowboys missed 3 field goals in this game. That was basically the difference. The final was 34-17. Ravens got a late touchdown to make sure that they did cover the game. So it was just another lackluster performance by the Cowboys. They did run the ball a little bit better. Ezekiel Elliott, he did have one of his better games of the season, but they're still having a problem at quarterback. And Andy Dalton, the great Red Rider, he's a good backup. I don't know if he's a starter.
He had his shot with Cincinnati.
He did a long time. He did okay there.
Weren't they like a playoff contender a couple of years?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes.
So he's had it in the past. What do you think happened to Dalton?
I think the game has just passed him by. You know, he's a pocket quarterback. He's older now. He's not as mobile as he used to be. I never thought he read the field very well. You know, once you're out there, you know, like pre-snap kind of thing, to where you could pretty much tell where he's going to throw the ball. And that's one thing that McCarthy's going to work with them, because as bad as I harp on McCarthy, the new coach for the Cowboys, you know, because obviously he was with the Packers, he's an offensive guy, and he will be able to help him out in that kind of clearance about what he needs to do, who he can get it to, and the way that the offense should be run.
The clarity that he brought to Brett Favre in his antics inside his head.
Actually, that was Holmgren that did it.
Did he?
Yeah, McCarthy's been with Rodgers.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Okay, that explains a lot then.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Holmgren, where's he at these days?
Holmgren, I think he's still living up in Seattle after, you know, he went up there and took the GM job and the head coach job up there. Haven't heard too much about him or from him, so I hope he's retired and just smiling. He's still got his name on a street sign downtown Green Bay, right by the stadium, called Holmgren Way, where there are some fantastic bars, by the way. Please get out there and enjoy it when we're allowed to go see football games again.
In America, when we're allowed.
When we're allowed to go see football games. But so, you know, after those 4 great games this week, I mean, if you are an NFL fan, and although COVID has really messed up a lot of other things,
it's a distraction.
College football distraction.
There'll be an asterisk next to the 2020 season. Forever.
Yeah, but they're still going to earn it. You know,
and everyone had the same disadvantage.
I have to say, you know, the NBA, was there going to be an asterisk? They played almost their full season. They played 72 games before they took their 3-4 months off, and then got back in the bubble and finished the season.
And we're 2 months down the road from the NBA, and they're already starting back up again.
Excuse me, but tonight you will have your first preseason NBA game.
How about that?
Because they are starting on December 21st with 3 games, and then you roll right into the Christmas holiday, Christmas Day. They'll have 5 games on, so they'll have 3 games. So they are 2 weeks out from starting their regular season.
Okay.
And there was some pushback from the NBA players on that, especially the ones that were in the bubble, like the Lakers and the Heat, that they've only had 71 days in between.
Can you imagine
finishing
being a
season.
multi-millionaire?
No.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions for some of these players, and you're told, no, stay in your room. You got all this money, all this dough. You know, there's not enough UPS trucks to bring all the stuff you want.
Correct. I need that FedEx 380 Airbus full of cargo. I don't
care. Drone it in. Just drone it in.
So we've talked about the Supermax and everything. So I saw this week, the NBA Supermax extension for the year 2022-2023. So they're starting to talk about those contracts now. 3 years. Can you give me a number?
3 years, NBA
Supermax. So there's other layers below this, but this is the most that they can offer somebody according to whatever their revenue is and that.
$375 million.
No, that's just ridiculous. But you're not that far off. It's 3 years for $156 million.
A year.
So 100. So that's 51 and change, 51 million and change. Just to throw a ball through a hoop.
I like $375 million better.
I know, don't we all?
You know, you would just never get away from the computer. You would just order. That's what you would do all day long.
It would be very difficult not to be able to just sit back and relax and enjoy some of that.
I mean, who doesn't need a new set of Ginsu knives?
Hey, beware of that home shopping network. I'm telling you, it's got me sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you that.
There ought to be an app, you know, and all you software workers out there, create an app so that we can go online and we're buying things from the shopping network while we sleep. All right, so it just says
thought.
There's a code or a tone or something that comes through that says now's the time to order. So you go ahead and you order. Yeah, predetermined number. Let's get 3 of those.
That's right.
I got 3 of them. Just because, you know, Christmas is coming up. You got the gifts.
Mom needs one, you know.
And you don't miss anything.
Your sister might not want one.
Just automatically orders for you.
Yes.
That would be such a sweet thing to have if you made $375 million a year.
Yes. There's the asterisk right there. There's the asterisk. And speaking of asterisks, NFC playoff picture.
Yep.
There's only one that's already clinched a playoff spot, and that would be the New Orleans Saints.
Really, at 11-1, Pittsburgh doesn't have a
That's
lock?
on. I'm just saying NFC.
Oh,
I'm
NFC,
sorry.
NFC,
Yep.
all right.
No, but the Steelers do not. The only team in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs because they're going to win their division. So
Yeah.
that's why they're clinched.
Yeah,
they have clinched that one playoff spot.
Yep.
And then you got the Packers at 9-3, Rams at now 9-4 after last night's victory, Giants leading the NFC East at 5-7, and then your 3 wild cards are the Seahawks at 8-4, Bucks at 7-5, and the Vikings, because of the Cardinals' loss last week, moved up to 6-6 and have taken that hold of that last wild card spot as far as the NFC is concerned. They are in the hunt. So and your teams that are still in the hunt are your Cardinals at 6-6, Bears, which they're still on the road backwards, and then your 49ers at 5-7. So
49ers now.
40
Not this year.
Not after, on Monday night's game against the Buffalo Bills.
Well, not impressed.
But they turned over the ball twice near the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have been a lot closer game.
Woulda, shoulda,
It could have, woulda, shoulda.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
But then Josh Allen just made him pay for it. He came down and just went the other way in the field and just really made him pay for it. Last week, out of those 8-9 teams, 3 of them lost. So you had your Seahawks lose last week, your Cardinals and Bears. So basically, Bears have almost fallen out of the chance. The Cardinals, depending on what they do this week, if they lose this week, they will be out of it. Seahawks got plenty of leg room to go with. They've got the Jets. They got then they go to Washington. Then they got the Rams at home, and then they got the Niners at home. And the Rams, who won last night, so they only have 3 games left. They've got the Jets left. Then they're at Seattle, and then they've got the Cardinals at home. So that's the one that's really playing. So you got your Rams and you got your Seahawks battling out for either the division championship or a wild card, and then you got the Giants and the Washington football team doing their thing to whoever wins that division. That'll be obviously the only team that gets into that playoff race because that second team will not be good enough for a wild card. In the AFC, as we talked, Steelers 11-1, Chiefs at 11-1. Have already clinched their spot. The Bills 9-3 after their nice win over the Niners. The Titans are still leading the division at 8-4, although they lost to the Cleveland Browns last week. The Browns are number 1 wild card at 9-3. Dolphins 8-4. Colts at 8-4. And in the hunt are your Raiders, Ravens, the Las Vegas Raiders. Can't wait till we get to that here real soon. And then you still got your Patriots there at 6-7. So big weekend for the Ravens. Must win. They play the Browns on Monday night, which is a must see. Colts, Raiders, another one that's right up there in one of my top 6 games of the weekend to watch. Major playoff implication for them. So
both teams actually.
Yeah. It's good to see that at least the Las Vegas Raiders for the first year, if we would have had fans in the stands and everything, that they would have had a fairly good season. And it would have been exciting at least until the second week of December. And that would have brought a lot of people to town, would have brought a lot of people in the stands, and really would have been able to, I think, solidify, almost like when the Golden Knights came to Las Vegas, and that,
that'll never be duplicated again.
And unfortunately, we had that terrible event happen over at Mandalay Bay on October 1st of that year, right before the season started, and the city rallied behind it, the team rallied behind it, and unfortunately, in that first year, it's tough to miss that first year to get that fan base because everybody's excited about them coming too. I mean, you watched that Raider Stadium be built for 22 months, 24, 2 years kind of thing. And you can't be a part of it. It's just sad to see that building just sitting there with every now and then you drive by, the lights are on and the outside lights on, they got the marquee and everything. And it's like, it's just, at least next year, hopefully with the vaccine coming out this week, that we should be able to get 10 games in that stadium next year.
Well, let's hope, because we're paying taxes on that now, and that's a big nut to fill. So
yes, it is.
If I'm going to be broke, I may as well be broke sitting in a stands with a beer, observing football.
Wouldn't that be nice?
If I could just do that and make money doing that, that would be a wonderful thing.
It would be fantastic either way. But I just want to definitely get inside of a stadium. I want to get around 70,000 people again. Be it a concert, be it a football game, anything like that.
They missed the boat on the tailgating, though.
Well,
really disappointed how the Raiders did that. That's really idiotic.
That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation on why did they build the stadium right where they did when there's only 2,600 parking spots available.
Well, if you look at it, they're sitting there on I-15 and Russell Road, which is pretty much South Strip. You're right there by the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. You're down in that area. And now in that area at Tropicana and Las Vegas Boulevard, we've got the MGM Grand Garden, which is a 40,000-seat arena. We've got the T-Mobile Center right across the street up against I-15 and Tropicana. There you go, another 45,000.
Big.
And if these two venues, plus you got the Park Theater, which is a concert venue, and if all four of these let out at the same time, nobody's moving.
Nobody's moving.
Nobody's moving.
No.
You're just going to have to sit there.
Metro will get a lot of overtime.
Well, they always do.
And that's always been a difficult. Even when the Golden Knights were playing. When I worked on the strip, because I was working in the food and beverage industry for Miller Coors.
You worked?
Yeah, I worked. Yeah, past tense. Yeah, it's a little bit tough in the on-premise here nowadays. We need people to come to Vegas, get on that airplane, come and spend some money, and drink some beers and cocktails, please.
Did you just put out an application?
Yes.
Okay.
One more time. Hey, you never know who's listening.
You never know. You'll never know.
Indeed, LinkedIn, anybody there?
Hello. Hello. I'll come with a smile.
But I would always make sure that I stayed away from the traffic. I knew when they were coming in. I knew when they were coming out. And on a Friday or a Saturday, when you've got, like you said, you got the park venue going on. You've got the MGM Bush. You've got T-Mobile. Mandalay Bay special
MGM,
events. Everything. I mean,
Tropicana.
I miss it. Actually,
I've told a few of my friends this, and I just thought it would have been a brilliant, brilliant thing to do. Looking at the Niners, they're really not in San Francisco anymore. They're way on the
Santa Clara.
south end. Yeah, they're in
Santa Clara, yes.
But way on the south end of the Bay Area now.
And I just want to this week's game, 49ers home game, will be played at the Arizona Cardinals Stadium again for 2 weeks in a row.
Because Santa Clara said no contact sports.
Correct.
Because you guys got cooties. Y'all got cooties. You can't play.
Right.
Come on. Quarantine the sick, not the healthy.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, brother.
No,
Sorry.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll remember what I was saying here in about 30 minutes and bring it back up. What I've been telling my friends forever, when they first started announcing that the Raiders were going to come to Vegas and they were determining exactly where they were going to put the stadium, my first thought was, let's put it out on Apex Road, which is way up in the north end of the valley.
Correct.
Making reference to the Niners not really being in San Francisco.
Right.
And they're down there in Santa Clara at the South Bay. Now, if we put the Raiders up there, there's lots of wide open room there. We could have put the stadium in the center. You got your tailgating and parking lot that wraps around it, kind of like Jack Murphy Stadium does down in San Diego.
Correct.
And then you've got your restaurants, and then you've got another ring of your hotels. And you could make your entire city out there and make it all focused on that venue there. And you're just right down the road from where the I-15 and the 215 come together up on the north end of the valley. And we had two major freeways taking your traffic out, and you would have been able to really tailgate. And I mean, that's why we bought the RV.
Yeah,
we like to tailgate. And now all of a sudden in Raider Stadium, we can't tailgate.
No. And
the hell?
They're gonna have satellite parking lots, when next year.
And the casinos.
Exactly. So you got to go in there to.
You ever hung out in a casino parking lot? It's like, yeah, this is cool, man. Yeah, it's like we're in Delaware.
But you're talking about putting the football stadium out there and then building restaurants around it and everything. You know who's done that? New England Patriots.
Is that Foxborough?
Foxborough.
Is that how they did
like that? Yeah.
That's why they were in New England and they went to Foxborough.
They went to Foxborough
and built their own little industrial complex out there.
And it's tough because I've been told I haven't been to one of the stadiums I have not been to. Well, one road in, one road out. So it is a mess leaving the stadium, but everything's there. it's all there. And the Green Bay Packers have now done that around Lambeau Field. They've put up a couple hotels around it now, retail, restaurants. There were always restaurants around, all family-owned restaurants, but now they've kind of made a big, huge deal 2 or 3 blocks leading into Lambeau Field.
Yeah, but after this COVID deal's over with, are they still going to be in business?
I think the Green Bay Packers will be, but those a lot of those bars, and it's always coming from upper Wisconsin, upper Midwest Wisconsin. It's always tough to.
Hey there.
Yeah, it's always tough to make to help businesses go and to not have any sports. Not to, they're big Brewers fans back there. They're big Wisconsin Badger fans back there. Green Bay Packer fans, and the food and beverage business. It revolves around live football sports. Mm-hmm. And in Wisconsin, they get behind their teams. If they win or if they lose, they drink more when they lose, but they drink a lot when they win. I can tell you that. It's always a good thing. It's like, wow. I guess we drink more tonight.
Yeah, twice as much at the Little League game.
That's only in the cars, and that's only when you're in your 20s.
And it's cold out there.
Yeah, a little chilly, eh?
It's cold. It's a bit chilly.
Well, you know where it's not going to be cold this weekend?
Miami.
In Miami, and it's not going to be cold in Miami this weekend. The Chiefs come down there 11-1, Dolphins 8-4.
That's going to be a clash.
This is my number one game of the weekend.
Very good call.
A lot of people probably feel the same way. The line is currently 7.5, over under 50.5. Really hasn't been too much movement on that. But you got the Chiefs, number one offense overall, number one rank, number 2 in points, number 1 in total yards, passing TDs. Oh, they're only third. Oh my gosh, rushing yards. Oh, no, they're only 16th in rushing yards. But one of my favorite stats, third down percentage, they are number 2 in converting third downs.
Really?
So they stay on the field.
That is a very big stat.
And he's fourth, and the Chiefs are fourth best with sacks allowed. So they're not tackling him behind the line of scrimmage at all. But the Dolphins, they have a great defense. They have the number 2 ranked defense. So we should see good offense, good defense. Let's see what we have. See who's going to win. Let's fight it out on the field.
Well, the way the rules are set up, offense should win because the NFL likes scoring.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
But this Chiefs defense isn't really anything to really snarl about. They're ranked this week as number 6. They're number 2 in interceptions, number 7 in turnovers. Mm-hmm. But that's where the Dolphins really excel at. They're number 2 in the league in turnovers so far through week 13. They get off the field. They're number 1 in third down conversions as far as the Dolphins on defense.
Nice.
So they're the best in the NFL at getting off the field.
Nice.
The Dolphins, they're 8-2 in the last 10 games. They've won 7 out of 8. Only had 5 wins in 2019, so they've already got 8. So they have really progressed underneath Flores this year. Tua started for the second time after being injured, hurting his thumb. So he came back last week, had a excellent week, 26-39 for 296 yards and a TD. But for this game, I think their defense has definitely got to show up for this game. And earlier this week, Brian Flores was talking about what he needs to be able to control this Chiefs defense or Chiefs offense.
You want to put on Watkins? You want to put on Mecole Hardman? Who do you want to put on? Robinson? We got to handle the backs too. Hilaire's a good back. Le'Veon Bell's not a slouch either.
Slouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we could have 14 defenders. That'd be nice.
I love that.
But they're hard conversations.
He was serious.
Do we man them? Do we zone them? Do we blitz them? Andy's got every play in the history of the National Football League. They run option. They run RPOs. They missile motion. Yeah. Not going to be easy. So you guys can have fun with that.
It's got to be tough.
He's so dry.
He is.
He's so dry. Is he like a Belichick protege?
He is. Yeah. He came from the Belichick. He is so cut and dry. He don't give up any information. He's going to give you just a little bit of nuggets, if any, but he's going to keep everything within the vest.
Always. I just really picked up on that. It's like, yeah, we're going to get together and we're going to try really hard and we're going to go ahead and put ourselves into this next game that we're playing.
Right.
And we're going to stay focused on that. And Cam's my quarterback. Cam's my quarterback. Cam's my quarterback.
Chiefs are winners of 7 straight since losing to the Raiders. So they're on a roll.
They're sitting there.
Yeah.
And they're at 11-1.
They go, how did we lose?
And they're looking back in the rearview mirror going, how did we lose to the Raiders in our own house?
Yeah, I'm sure they're still miffed about it. But
they came back and spanked the Raiders in their house, so
yes,
now they're
did.
even.
Yep. Mahomes is having just listen to these stats. 316 out of 463 passing for 3,815 yards, 31 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Really?
2 interceptions this year.
That's phenomenal.
Thrown the ball 463 times, only twice. Kelsey, I wasn't a fan of Kelsey's until 2 or 3 years ago when all of a sudden I think it was when Mahomes started at quarterback after Alex Smith left, or after he took over for Alex Smith. He's got 82 receptions for 1,100 yards and 8 TDs. He's the number 1 tight end in the NFL currently. He's such a big dynamic target, and it's like Gronkowski was 7 years ago. He's unstoppable, and he's that hybrid guy that you can put him out as a wide receiver, but you don't want to put a defensive back on him because he's so big, so you put a linebacker on him, and he's faster than linebackers. He runs great routes. He doesn't drop the ball. If you see him drop the ball, I'm sure his targets I'm sure he catches the ball 95% of the time. So
Kelsey's one of those guys that the instinct to attack with blood in the water, as a shark.
Oh, yeah.
They can sense when your opponent is down and they go for the jugular.
Yeah.
That's just the type of guy he is. There's many players in the NFL that have this, but Kelsey's one of those guys.
Absolutely.
And he definitely goes out there and he learns and he knows and he desires to beat you. And when you put that motivation together, it's hard to stop a guy that size.
Well, you don't want to be between him and the goal line when he's got the ball, because he's going to go through you. And I love players like that.
I want a beer in row 14, man. That's all I want.
I think you'll be surprised by the second game I picked of the week, and it's the Cardinals at the Giants. Because if the Cardinals lose, I think it's just playoff implications.
Perhaps
Giants lose.
Help wanted.
Yeah,
scenarios too.
Yeah, good. Well, the Giants, they have been playing for their new coach that nobody knew about. Another New England disciple.
Right.
Never was even a coordinator, but he has come around, losing Barkley, the running back, week 1. Totally threw him off.
But he's still doing television commercials.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Trying to replace Eli from retiring, So Jones at quarterback, who has been injured, Daniel Jones. He may come back. We're going to find that out today. Otherwise, you're going to be with Colt McCoy, who won his first game since 2014 last week at the Seattle Seahawks.
Love his name, hate the gameplay.
That was the
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy, yes.
McCoy,
yep.
Quarterback.
But the line on this game is currently at 1.5. Cardinals are favored on the road. It did open up -3.
Wow,
so there's some believers in the Giants, and the over/under is 45. So not really too many points are expected in this game.
That might be a little high for that game.
Yes, exactly. But the Cardinals' defense really isn't that good. Their defense is 14th. But the Giants' defense is 9, so that's why you can see it being only 45 points, because you got 2 top 15 defenses that should be able to shut down their offenses. The Cardinals' offense is tied for 7th, but the Giants is tied for 26th.
And if Arizona does walk away with this game, that's fine and dandy, and they're going to be closer to the playoffs. But if the Giants win this game, they will have a tied record with Arizona.
Yes, but
they'll both be 6 and 7.
But the thing is that the NFC East, they're only getting one in. They're not going to get a wild card in.
No, they won't.
So Washington won, right?
Yeah.
And so they're
it.
right there. Yep. So neither of them can afford to lose their game. But the Giants are 5-3 in their last 8 games. And in those 3 losses, I thought this was interesting. They've lost by a combined 6 points.
Wow.
throughout those 3 games. So they lost 2 by 1 and another one by 3, I think it was.
That's when you stop by the grocery store and get some Prylo
Yes.
Zach on the way home.
But these are the teams they
Wow.
beat, though, also. They've beaten Washington twice. The Eagles, which obviously they're in a downspin. The Bengals, and that was without Burrows. But they went into Seattle and beat a top-notch playoff team that everybody thought was rolling high, letting Russell Wilson cook, all that kind of stuff. So their 5 wins, so, but they've won them, and they've been close in the last 8 games. So that just tells me that they've really been playing for this head coach since the beginning of the season. Cardinals, totally the opposite way. Loses of 3 games straight ever since the Hail Murray pass.
Murray.
Yeah, that's what they've been calling it, so you got to keep it that.
I remember, what is it, our first show? I
Yeah, that was
announced
the first
that we will be the last network to broadcast this play. And sure enough, I'm on ESPN this morning, and all of a sudden they replay that play on the air. And I was
So they've lost 3 straight games ever since that game, and they've actually lost 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they were 6-2 at one time. I mean, they were the new Golden Boys. Everybody's all over Kyler Murray. But what has happened is that the defense.
They played Seattle.
Yes. Well,
it mentally messed them up.
Well, they're in the same division. It's
yeah.
such a tough division because you got Seattle, you got the Niners,
Rams.
you got the Rams have their number. They cooked them last week.
Fried them.
I mean, they just
Barbecue. Everyone's walking around.
Yes. But what seems to be the problem is that, or what's happened is that the defenses have kind of caught up to Kingsbury, the head coach, and what Kyler Murray are kind of doing.
Film room will still do that.
You see in the NFL all the time. How many times does somebody come up with something new, and within 2 years, it's like you don't even hear about it anymore?
Jet sweep.
But what you will see this week is that you will see him handle the ball more and run the ball more because he's been trying to be a pocket quarterback. They've tried to kept him in a little bit, but in what I heard this week is that they will be giving him the ball more and giving him more options to get outside. Now, the Giants have a great defense as far as keeping everybody in, and that's exactly what they did to Russell Wilson last week, is that they pinched him inside and kept him inside the pocket and didn't let him get outside on that. So I thought it was a really interesting game just because of the Giants. They can't afford to lose. They cannot afford to lose, and if the Cardinals lose, they are out of the playoff game.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think the Giants are going to have a choice. Honestly, yeah. Well, they are playing in New York.
They are playing in New York?
Yeah, that's an advantage. That's always worth a touchdown in my eyes.
Right.
When you're playing away, you should always give the other team 7 points.
Well,
off the bat.
you only get 3 for being at home, usually.
I give them 7.
So, well, yeah, hey, I'm all about my gut feeling too. So, I mean, this opened up at -3. Everybody's bet it down to only 1.5. So there is some believers in the Giants after the latest thing that you just saw them beating the Seahawks on last Sunday.
Yeah, I can see this score being something like 19-26.
Absolutely.
This is some odd
right there,
numbers,
54. Yeah, it was at 44, and the line's 45. So, that's the exact kind of game that everybody.
45 is a hard number to make.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
but
really?
then
is.
again, it's the National Football League.
It's 24-21 game. That's a 45 game. So it's a field goal at the end. Each of them got 3 touchdowns. So
going for the 2-point conversion when you don't have to.
Oh gosh, let's get into that conversation. But let's get into the Vikings and the Bucks. That's my number 3 game. Okay. Only because Vikings are in our in the Packers conference, division. The Buccaneers are coming off of a bye week, late bye week. Mm-hmm. So, how are you on the bye weeks? Are you do you want them in week 4? Do you want them in week 8? Do you want them in week 10, 12?
Well, I'm a very systematic kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it halfway through the season. Because you got the first half, and then you get a chance to rest, and then you get this second half.
Kind of breaks it up good.
But, when you take it 2 or 3 games deeper into the season, all of a sudden you've got a little bit more healing power behind you as you're heading into the playoff run. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's more important.
I have always been the one that, of course, you always want it right in the middle. You want it 7 games before, 9 games after. I think it's worse when you have to take it in week 5, week 4, week 5, because you're just coming out. in normal years, you're just coming out of training camps, preseason games. You're just starting to get to roll, and then all of a sudden you got to stop for a week. But then the worst part is you got to go 12 weeks after without a break.
Right, and that playoff run.
And if you get in the playoffs, and that playoff run. I don't mind 8 through 12. If you got a bye week between 8 and 12, obviously the happy medium is 4 through 8. You want to be as close to 8 as you possibly can. But 8 through 12, I don't mind that because if you've been injured leading up to that, it gives you 13, 14 days to try to get some players back, get them a rest, and say, look, we only got 6 weeks left until the end of the season. So here we go. And that's what everybody does after week 12. They got 4 games left. So they always break it up in quarters. So the first 4 games, second 4 games, third 4 games. Now we're on the last 4 games. And you can definitely see the disparity in some of these teams as we get into here. But there's a lot of 500 teams that are right in the middle that still, if you get on a run, like the Buccaneers here, they're 7-5. They win 4 games. All of a sudden they're 11-5. But they've got a tougher schedule. So at the beginning of the season, we thought they would be somewhere around a 9 or 10 win team. And they're right on pace to do that. So this game against the Vikings opened up at 6.5. It has stayed right on that number, 6.5 over under 52.5 currently, and it opened up at 51.5. So they're kind of saying,
the defenses are kind of weak.
Well, actually,
the numbers
say that Tampa Bay is the best team out of these two. I mean,
Tom Brady can't throw a pass over 25 yards this year.
He may not be able to, but he's thrown it almost more than he ever has, and he's had a fantastic season. Tom Brady's stats: 307 for 474, 3,300 yards, 28 TDs, 11 interceptions.
28 passing TDs.
28 TDs, passing TDs, and 11 interceptions. That's a little high for him, but as we've discussed before, Bruce Arians' system, any quarterback that comes into his system, the first year always has high interceptions. You look at Roethlisberger, you look at Peyton Manning at the Colts, and then last year, Jameis Winston, why they went and got Brady in the first place. And
I want some lobster ribs now.
Yeah, exactly.
Lobster ribs.
And Brady's been sacked 16 times, so he hasn't been hit too much, but he's had a tough time with keeping his wide receivers on the field. They've been injured. Evans has been injured. All 3 of them have been injured. And ever since they brought in Antonio Brown, our buddy from the Raiders, they're 1-3.
He never played a game with the Raiders.
He never did he?
No.
So,
and this is probably a town he should not be in.
Correct. And probably a smart thing. But their offense, they're tied for 4th overall. They're 6th in total points. Pass TDs, he's 4th. Red zone touchdowns, they're 6th in the NFL. And they're 4th in the NFL in sacks allowed. So their offense is a lot better than this Vikings defense, who is ranked 26th. And they're 26th against pass yards allowed, 23rd against total yards. So on paper, it really looks like the Buccaneers should really walk away with this game.
You know how much paper's on a football field?
How much paper?
0.
0 paper.
0.
Because you got to play.
You got to play the game.
And that's why you play the game. And the Vikings started out not playing this season. They were 1-5.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay? So, but now, listen who they've beaten since. They beat the Packers pretty handily, 28-22. Wasn't even a close game. You had the Lions, 34-20 that they beat up. They beat the Bears 19-13, late come from behind victory. Then they lost to the Cowboys on the last second play, 31-28. Then they beat Carolina 28-27 on a last second field goal. And then they beat the Jaguars last week 27-24 in overtime. So now they're 6-6. They're 5-1 in their last 5, so they're 6-6. Their teams aren't really the best thing they've done is they won their 3 games in the division. Mm-hmm. And if you win your division, you're in the playoffs. You're pretty much in the playoffs, exactly. And the Bucs are coming off of off their bye week, and this has been the first year with Bruce Arians as far as being with Tom Brady, and I think he really appreciates him being inside the locker room.
It's been fantastic from day one, getting him here, watching him prepare and help young players get better. He's a joy to coach, and he's a fantastic competitor.
and I love that about him. And he's been there and done it, and he's helped so many of our guys who haven't believed that they can, and that's a huge part of it. And couldn't ask any more out of him.
You see Arian sporting the goatee these days?
Yes, yeah. I would like to play for him. I really would. I think although he said that he's out there and he lets a lot of people on his staff, he's been one of the best leaders as far as getting assistant coaches to move up in the system. Black head coaches. He's got female coaches on his staff also in the NFL. One of two teams in the NFL that do have female assistant coaches. So he lets a lot of his staff do his stuff. He's got his vision and just his energy, and I think his outlook on it. I think he'd be a fun coach to play for.
I think I would be that guy that he's always yelling at, and I would be so demoralized by the end of the year. I'd be thinking, well, I could go spend my $375 million, or I could shoot myself. Yeah, I would really be weighing the options.
Why is he yelling at me?
Again.
Can you yell at me in a good way?
I'm running as fast as I can, Coach.
You want to talk about yelling?
Sure.
Let's go to the Raiders game. Let's go to the Raiders Jets because they got a big game this week against the Colts, but we got to recap what happened last week.
Jets coming. Carr put some air under it. Wide open is Ruggs for the touchdown. Miraculous. He didn't.
No,
Carr and company needed a miracle, and it's the rookie Ruggs wide open. Just incredible.
Listen how quiet that stadium is.
You're going to
such an echo
in
there.
You're going to go. And Lamar Jackson, he just stops his feet. And
I thought Lamar Jackson was a running back.
I didn't. Quarterback.
Henry Ruggs runs 4.27 40. You know that he can fly.
4.27
and the Raiders,
40.
if this ball is
That's why
caught
the Raiders
inbounds, the game's almost over.
Almost over. It's over.
That was with 5 seconds left, so you can't get any closer to the end of the game than that.
Yeah, that's really close.
Just what the Raiders tried to give that game away. They were winning 23 to.
I'm telling you, these West Coast teams have problems going to the East Coast. I don't know what it is, but they do.
Yeah, it was 24-13. Excuse me, going into the fourth quarter. They get stopped 3 and out. And the Jets get the ball twice. They score touchdowns both times in the fourth quarter, and they needed this to come back and win it after they had driven the whole field and went for it on 4th and 6, and basically he dropped the ball in the end zone. So they get a quick 3 and out. They get the ball back and are able to get to the 48-yard line and get that pass off. Just unbelievable. Big victory for the Raiders and Gruden, especially for Carr. Do you know that Derek Carr is the second best quarterback in fourth quarter comebacks since 2014. I know, right? So since 2014, since 2014, he's got 23 fourth quarter comebacks. Only one player better, and that would be Stafford from the Lions.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Matthew Stafford.
Uh-huh.
So remember, everybody was after Derek Carr last year saying, well, him and Gruden they're not on the same page. Something's missing there. I don't think Derek Carr's your guy going forward. And Gruden was adamant. He said, this kid is going to do it for me. When he came in here, he says, I'm going to be able to teach him and show him. And in the press conference after, he goes, and he gave all the credit to Gruden. He says, Coach Gruden has gotten me ready for an opportunity like this. And when I saw it, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Our wide receiver knew exactly what he needed to do because he had man-on-man coverage, and he did it all because he said it was all because of his preparation with Gruden. And you can say that you don't like Gruden very much, and a lot of people don't, but I think he's somebody you definitely want to play for. And
he seems like he'd be a real loyal coach.
Everybody thought that being 10 years in the booth that he lost it, that, it went him by because that first year at the Raiders was not very good. He signed that 10-year, $100 million contract. So you got $10 million, a year tied up in coach's salary. But he's really proved to me, because I'm not sure. When they hired, I wasn't sure if he's going to be able to come back with the vigor and the fire and the aptitude to be able to come back and play in the game.
Well, he's got it, but
10 years
it's
later.
not translating into the team.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. He is doing well,
Yes.
but he's not doing Belichick well.
No. And because he's a little more offense than Belichick's defense, so he lets the defense.
Football's football.
Yeah, football's football.
And when you're the head coach, you are the football offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You
oversee
the guy.
everything.
Yeah, so it is pretty much up to you.
The buck stops here, kind of thing. So it all goes through him. But just a fantastic win, 7-5, because otherwise they were going down the same path they went to last year. They were 6-4 last year, ended up losing 4 games and ended up 8-8.
And that skid started with the Jets.
It started with the Jets at the Jets.
So maybe they've changed the future by beating the Jets this time.
Oh my gosh, Back to the Future. Did they get in the DeLorean?
I want my money back.
I want my money
Sports
back.
books, let's go. I want my money back.
But think about it, as much as last week was, obviously, there's always this week. They got the Colts this week, another playoff team. Colts are 8-4, 7-5. So if the Raiders win this game, they're tied. So depending on tiebreakers, I'm not sure what they are as of today as far as conference wins and everything. So, but the Colts are favored by 2.5.
That's it.
Colts are favored by 2.5.
That's Bolshevik.
2.5.
No.
And the over-under is 50.5. Started at 52, so the unders come down just a little bit, but the line stayed solid at 2.5. Now remember, you get 3 points for being at home during a normal
7
football season. Seven for you.
Well, because we're talking $2 billion stadiums now. It's gone to 7.
Excuse me. But the Colts, they have a great defense. They've dropped in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but they're down to number 10. But they have been trying to. They've been falling a little bit. But earlier in the season, they were number 2, number 5. Right now, they're still number 1 in points allowed, number 5 in interceptions. So watch out when that Derek Carr tries to get out there. They're 7th in rushing yards, so their offense plays right into the hands of the Raiders' defense, which is not very good. Their defense is 28th.
Yeah.
So that's
where
they
up that high?
Right. No, not even. So
out of 32 teams, they should be ranked about 40-ish, I would say.
So the last
defense is just not there for the Raiders.
Let me spit out some of these since we're running out of time here. Steelers at the Bills, which is your Sunday night game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 11-1 versus 9-3. Bills are favored by 1. Over/under is 48. And then on Monday night, the other big one, Ravens at Browns. Ravens are favored by 2.5 on the road at the Browns. Kind of surprising. Over/under is 47. So those are your big 6 games for the week.
All right.
I appreciate your time today, Lance.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. But always come out with a little bit kickstart my heart, baby. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Kick Eye Sports. See us on Facebook, YouTube.